Okay, so here's the thing. I've been thinking about the culture of the Social Security Administration, how things are happening on a macro scale, on a big timeline scale, if you will. Now, with that said, as you know, the Democratic Party has always been the party of choice when it comes to Social Security benefits. What's at issue is that the economy has, to some degree, collapsed a bit when it comes to what its dollar is worth in use, both in our national interest and also our international, partners. So what's happening is we're facing an interesting crisis when it comes to Social Security benefits. We're basically looking at, do we want a strong economy, a capitalistic market to succeed, to push forward? Because that's what Social Security feeds off of, right? And that's more of your Trump party. Or do you want specifically a party that's going to make sure that no cuts to Social Security benefits happen going forward? Which is a party that has, basically the power to say they have no intention of you receiving less going forward. And they've even been releasing a lot of amazing rule changes for supplemental security income individuals. Supplemental security income is going to blossom, become massive, far outweigh how many disabled there are. It will be a competitor ultimately to how many retired there are as the new universal income for those who are migrants, refugees, asylum seekers, disabled, and over 65 people. So here's what you need to know. I've been studying the future of both parties when it comes to Social Security benefits, and they are both getting ready to use you to get votes. But the Democrats have been very, very smart about the strategy that they're using. Now, whether or not this SSA crisis was caused, and some would say it was caused by the Republicans because they did not want to fund the SSA to administratively process the benefits that you're supposed to receive. Some would say it's part of some diabolical plan, right? That the Democrats potentially had concocted to make you all fearful, worried, to make you run towards the light of the Democratic Party, who is not going to change your benefits. I want to know your thoughts after watching the following video, and I'm going to jump in and jump out here and there to give you my opinion as to what's going on, because it's very interesting. And if you take a moment and step back, you'll realize this is a chess game, if you will. Let's get to it.
This is Martin O'Malley. I'm the Commissioner of the Social Security Administration, having been nominated by the President of the United States. Thank you, President Biden. And confirmed by the Senate, whom I also thank. But I wanted to bring you up to date on where we stand today as an agency and how we can improve the level of customer service we deliver for the American people. Because they paid for it. Each of you paid for it. You paid for it through hard work over a lifetime. You paid not only for your benefits, but you also paid for the customer service necessary to access and apply for those benefits. So here we go.
All right, so let's go into this real quick. Right now, that is the best sounding Social Security commissioner I've ever heard. They acknowledge that A, you exist. B, you're important. C, you paid for stuff that you're not really getting great service with. D, you really do deserve great service because you already paid for it. And then E, we're at a point where things aren't great, but we want to appreciate you. So we're going to try and do things in the future to better your current situation. So the ramp up is really interesting. The ramp up is, we appreciate you, Americans. We appreciate you for supporting this program that you had no choice in paying into. We want you to be successful, but we can't be successful because there is a monster keeping us from doing what we're supposed to do.
We are in a customer service crisis today, and it cannot be denied. You see it in the long wait times on our 800 number. You see it in the injustice we do to people through accidental overpayments and then their clawbacks. And you see it probably most jarringly in this map of the United States. These are the disability determination offices, and their job is to make those initial disability determinations. As you can see from this map, there is not one of them that is in the green of making those determinations within 120 days. In fact, some of them, people have to wait longer than 300 days. In my own state, it's 359 days. That's unacceptable. So how do we improve that?
All right. So what's happening is this. He's making the argument that the SSA is in a state of crisis. The SSA does not have a good current standing. And what he's getting at is the whole processing of how you get your benefits. Now, look, 2019, 2018 took like 3 to 6 months for an initial filing for disability benefits to be adjudicated. Now it's like 17 to 18 months, going on 18 to 19 months, which is absolute insanity. I mean, it's far too long of a time period to have to wait to be found disabled. And the negative outcome of that is that, to be fair, there are more and more people dying waiting for Social Security benefits, waiting for the disability benefits to be approved than ever before. The 10,000 people is rising and rising and rising. So let's see what the Democratic Party, because obviously he was a prior presidential Democratic candidate running against Biden. Biden took over. Trump won that one, and then now we see Biden in. But let's see what his ideology is for fixing this dilemma.
How do we put the agency on a path to improving customer service? This next chart shows you where we are today. The blue graph represents, and going up, 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 and up, are the number of customers that we are now serving. As baby boomers, people of my generation, have aged, we now serve more people than ever. But the red line is staffing. Staffing has been allowed to decline to 27-year lows. We're glad Congress recently passed a budget on this year. We're glad that cuts to this agency were not deeper, even as we rise to an all-time high in the number of people that we serve. We've got to make some changes. The good news is, not long ago.
So what he's getting at is the big fix that the agency sees from their perspective that needs to happen is that they need more money. Now they're getting more money, but there is an interesting problem happening here. The Democrats are selling that basically the agency is in a state of crisis because all the Republicans are trying to make sure that the SSA doesn't get a proper budget increase. But on the other side, which is not going to be mentioned here, which they're never going to go into, on the other side of that, just to be fair, and remember, I'm showing you both sides. Somebody in the comments is going to be like, yeah, screw you, Trumper. And somebody's going to be like, why do you love Biden so much? To show you both sides, the SSA wouldn't be in as bad a position if the economy wasn't really, handled this poorly when it comes to oil, gas, diesel, transportation, international tariffs, stuff like that, So as a result, we're in kind of a catch-22. Biden's government is not good for the economy. Because we had massive inflation, the SSA's budget wasn't enough to hire more people because the dollar significantly devalued. So they couldn't do as much because the dollar couldn't buy as much. And so that's kind of one of these interesting things. The crisis was quasi-created by Biden. The fix is that the Republicans now have to vote for more money to go to the agency because it doesn't have enough money to process our benefits. That's where it's at.
Social Security actually operated at a very high level of customer service. Prior to 2017, we were allowed by Congress to operate on about 1.2% in administrative costs compared to the annual outlay in benefits. But something happened around 2017, and that something was this. Congress stopped even allowing us to have our own budget or appropriations hearing. And as a result, instead of being allowed to operate on 1.2%, that percentage has now declined to about 0.95%. What does that mean in real terms? That means fewer staff. than we've ever had in the last 27 years, serving more customers. And that is what has contributed to the big decline in customer service. It's what makes those wait times longer, whether it's on the phone or for a disability determination. But when we were allowed to...
Now, he makes a very good point. The Trump administration was not pro Social Security benefits, right? They didn't have special, trustees that come from our side. They didn't have special hearings to go ahead and promote essentially financial gains for the SSA to be able to process benefits. They had Commissioner Saul, who was very aggressive at changing the rules of disability to make sure fewer and fewer were approved, especially with appeals counsel. Those were the major changes. Some of the listings were changed, but the major thing was what rules could be used to appeal a claim for disability benefits up into appeals counsel. Basically weight of evidence. Weight of evidence. That was a major change in the entire process. And what's interesting about it is that he's not wrong. Commissioner Martin O'Malley isn't wrong. The Republicans have never been huge supporters of Social Security benefits. They've never been pro-retirement in the modern era. They've never been pro-disability in the modern era. So what's happening is we have essentially two groups. The Republicans, who have never really been for Social Security benefits, that don't really have even a plan now, as Trump is now the only potential Republican candidate going forward, other than to have a working, pushing forward economy, which we got to have. We don't have that right now. And because we don't have that right now, because of some mismanagement of raw materials on behalf of the current White House administration, we had some, mixed in with COVID, right? Coming out of COVID, we had some really bad inflation. And then there were giant corporations with mega billionaires who figured out how to play the price game and gouged. So what's interesting about this is that the future of Social Security is that they are using you, the future team of voters, to vote to fix this. Now, as you've noticed, what is this? We are watching a video from the current commissioner of the SSA, trying to teach actuarial, graphs to the American public, trying to explain to the American public why these massive wait times exist and how it's the Republican Party's fault. How many times have you seen a video from the Social Security Administration that goes on the offensive on YouTube to explain why things are so bad and what the crisis is? Never. The SSA would never do that. The SSA would hide that. They would pull any wool they could over your eyes so that you would think the agency was doing amazingly well. I don't know, but this might be the first time in history a commissioner has gone on YouTube to really push and promote whose fault it is for the agency being in the situation that it is. You notice that he said this started where they couldn't go to Congress and request those budgetary requirements in 2017. What happened in 2017? Think about it. Okay.
Operate at 1.2%. It was pretty efficient and it was pretty effective.
All right, let me get this thing back. Hold on.
Had in the last 27 years, serving more.
The thing popped out. There we
customers.
Here we go.
And that is what has contributed to the big decline in customer service. It's what makes those wait times longer, whether it's on the phone or for a disability determination. But when we were allowed to operate at 1.2%, it was pretty efficient and it was pretty effective. Allstate operates on 19% overhead of its annual benefit payouts. Liberty Mutual, Liberty Biberty, operates on 23%. And Social Security, when we used to have congressional budget hearings, was allowed to operate on 1.2%. We can reduce the wait times on the phone. We can reduce the time it takes for an initial disability determination. And we can reduce the time it takes for an appeal, an ALJ hearing on a disability. But we need to be allowed to operate at that traditional 1.2%. You've earned your benefits. You've earned a high level of customer service. We need to ask our Congress to allow us to use the monies that you've already paid in so that you can get somebody on the phone when you need us and you have to call. The good news on the horizon is this. The president's budget for fiscal...
Okay, so how powerful is that message of when you need us for something you already paid for, if you want to get us on the phone, you need to have Congress increase our budget. I've never seen a commissioner of the SSA call out Congress on YouTube and say these schmucks have literally bankrupted the ability of the SSA to go forward and produce the money needed to run the agency that you spent your entire life paying into. You know, he brings up Allstate, he brings up this, he brings up that. What's funny about it is, and what's sad about it is that we paid a hell of a lot more money into Social Security than we ever did into Allstate or any of those other insurance companies. So it's kind of like, well, shit, if those other companies can do it, then the SSA is getting a tiny itty bitty budget where they're operating with 1.2% of what they outpay. While, you know, these other places are 15, 17, 20%. Now, there is a counter to that argument. Okay. Allstate is a highly efficient, aggressive insurance business. The SSA is a socialism-based, pyramid-esque program that has government employees. And let's just be fair. Government employees are never going to be operating at private industry levels for completing tasks because those people are making either more money or they're on some sort of system where the more they produce, the more deals they close, the more they make. That's not the SSA personnel. You're never going to get government personnel to act at the same super productive, efficient levels as the private industry. So to be fair with the argument, hey, you know, we just need our 1.2. I mean, realistically, it should be higher. But you have to understand, too, those employees at the SSA are never going to achieve what the superstars out in the private industry are actually doing. It's just never going to happen. I know somebody in the comments section, I know somebody will say, hey, wait a minute. I did my best there. We worked really, really hard. You did work really, really hard from 9 to 5. You didn't work until 9 to 9, which is how a lot of those insurance places are pushing people to go ahead and make more, push more, get more. And the more the entire dollar, you know, basically wobbles out and becomes this useless little piece of paper, the more people are like, I got to earn more. I got to earn more. I got to earn more. And they're pushing right into their weekends, including Sunday. Now, we're going to go through real quick what he has to say specifically when it comes to kind of the fix going forward. So let's go through that real quick. Or I assume he is. I've actually not seen the entire video yet because I was working so much. All right, let's take a look real quick. Here we go. I'm going to back it up a little bit. There we go. Boom.
The good news on the horizon is this. The president's budget for fiscal year 25 is a big, solid step in the right direction. It would allow us to restore staffing levels that we haven't seen here for years. That'll allow us to answer the phone quicker, to process benefit applications quicker, and to make those critical determinations for people who are suffering from a disability. So thank you for listening. Please make sure your friends and your neighbors understand what's going on, and most importantly, where we can go in order to restore the customer service that you should expect from your Social Security Administration of the United States of America. Thanks a lot.
All right, so what did we learn? We learned that, very simply put, the commissioner is promoting essentially President Biden for 2025, which is why he was put in. Remember, Commissioner Martin O'Malley is a prior presidential competitor to Biden. Biden won out. And then when Biden's done, right, if he gets this one or doesn't, the next go around, because Biden will be too old. If he doesn't win this one, he's not going to run again. The next one will likely be Commissioner Martin O'Malley pushing and as the forefront for the Democratic Party. I want to thank Theodore real quick for the $10 donation, a cute doggy picture. I really appreciate that. Also, Batty Beth, a member for 2 months, which is absolutely amazing. I really appreciate the members because they kind of help me get through all these ridiculous times that we're living through right now and keeping the law firm rolling and doing what it can. Let's see. Ajax Slam Goody, $5 donation. He said, Biden has made us more dependent on China. He spends billions on illegals, war in Ukraine, billions on Israel's war and border, not our border. So not all inaccurate, right? Some very true statements. No, look, to go with Ajax here, Ajax is not incorrect. Ajax is correct. If we had followed a better economy model, the SSA wouldn't have such a tough time with the money it's receiving because it wouldn't have devalued that much and they would have been able to hire more people with the money that they had. If we didn't let in so many immigrants or refugees or asylum seekers, SSI benefits wouldn't take so much more extra taxed money going to those individuals. And to be fair, there wouldn't have to be so many Social Security Administration personnel working on these new millions and millions and millions of immigrants coming into this country. And to be fair, remember, I'm showing you both sides here. And to be fair, we don't have realistically a great plan from the Democrats going into the future. And I know I always make fun of the Republicans for having absolutely no plan for Social Security benefits going into the future, other than to basically make you retire at an older age, reduce benefits, like all the crap you don't want to hear. The Republicans have never been good with Social Security benefits. They've always been way behind the ball. They've always done a terrible job with that. But to be fair, the other side, the Democrat side, they don't really have a great future proposal for the trust fund problem. Because the trust fund solution that they have is raising essentially how many people are going to be paying the FICA taxes above a certain level of earnings. Because you guys know, between here and here, right, $0 and $168,000, right? Those people, when you earn that money, pay FICA taxes. But people earning above that, they don't pay FICA taxes because they get no benefit. Their retirement benefits wouldn't go up. They wouldn't go up anymore. So they're saying, hey, in between $168,000 and $400,000, nobody will get taxed there. But then above $400,000 in income, all that money will be taxed. But if you just tax the billionaires more, they're just going to pass on that literal percentage of increase of taxes, that 15%, including Medicare trust fund and retirement and disability and spousal and survivors. They're just going to pass on that new tax to all the products that we buy. And I've seen people in the comments arguing against this. I really genuinely have. They've said, oh no, trickle down doesn't actually work. Trickle down does work. It works with creating jobs. It works with creating more and more higher priced items. And the problem that I see with this is that we have these super ultra wealthy manipulating the trickle down. Now look, I don't disagree that the wealthy need to be put in check. They do. But if we increase the taxation on them, they increase the cost of purchase on us to buy products. But we can get around that. I'm going to do a video specifically how we can get our fair share out of essentially the rich without them being able to raise the cost of products and services that you and I both buy. If you shop at Walmart, it's a thing. If you shop at Publix, Aldi has some really amazing stuff, by the way. If you guys don't know Aldi, go check out Aldi. Aldi has amazing stuff. Also, Kathy Has Faith, super thank you for the additional memberships. Whoa, huge donation. Goho Shane, thank you for the massive donation of $100. It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Thank you. Wow. Cameraman, thank you for the membership, the 4-month membership. Awesome. Let's see what the comment was. Walter, didn't the president tell Congress to pass money for Israel and Ukraine? Then after Congress passed the money, the president stopped the money Congress passed for Israel? I'm not going into that. And the reason why is that I would like this video to see the daylight tomorrow. If I go into that, I can tell you already, there are certain words and phrases that if I say them, the video will not be seen by other people. Yes, you are absolutely right. We are literally funding the buildup of a World War III scenario. Yes, you are right. Social Security benefits are not at the forefront of fixing things. Yes, you are right. In order to fix Social Security benefits, it's not just fixing the trust funds. You have to also raise the benefits to a meaningful amount, which means that you have to find and you have to get a sock filled with potatoes, the person who allowed the cost of living adjustment, the math to be changed and manipulated so that you got less and less. Go look at the nonprofit math from the DC nonprofits. You're supposed to have $500 more every single month, just from their calculations from 1999 to 2022. Imagine $500 more of your benefits. That's what you're supposed to get. And that's not even the full calculation. That's just from 1999. So my point is, going forward, it's very important to understand that neither party is the magic pill for Social Security benefits. The Democrats are smarter about manipulating people to vote for them and figuring out the little tokens that they can do to go ahead and get them to agree that they're going to be better for Social Security. And in large, to be fair, the Democratic Party is better for Social Security benefits. But the big problem, the massive, horrific, scary problem that is occurring, it's three things. And I'm going to tell you them, and you're going to be like, no, I don't know. I'm going to tell you them, but I want you to think about it because they're massive. Number one, the amount of children that are being created in this country. We're not making enough babies because the younger generations are so strapped with low income, high student loans, credit card debt, that they are like a wild animal, unable to breed and create more because there's no safety. They live in constant fear. If there's not enough babies, then guess what happens? Social Security benefits fail because there's not enough people to pay for the prior generations. That's problem number one. Problem number two is that if we bring in a lot of immigrants, we think this is good because those immigrants will likely boost our not having enough children and create a society, forget all the diversity, equity, inclusion, forget all that. Just forget all that. That's not even part of the argument. They're hoping that it will adjust to add enough human beings into the work environment for more money. There's one problem. Not all of the cultures of the individuals coming into this country were raised on capitalism. Many of them were raised on other forms of government and other forms of religion that are not high productivity, extreme, get her done mentalities, which means that you're bringing in a lot of people who might not come from the super hard work, long days, long hours, pull up your bootstraps mentality that Americans live by. Some of them do. Some of the immigrants do. That's problem number two, which is that we may be bringing on large amounts of culturally different people who have no intention of spending their life working for a country to then give them a short period of time to retire on, in which case they don't give them enough benefits to live on anyway, so they got to keep working. It's sad. It's just horrific. It's horrific. Next thing, the final one, the final scary thing. If America has a great devaluation of the dollar, then what happens is the trust funds where we put the money into special bonds, those special bonds do not do so well in the long term. Now, if those special bonds don't do well, then it's going to decrease the likelihood that the return on investment of us putting that money into those special bonds will be large enough to pay for other generations down the line, which it won't. And they haven't really calculated that in yet because it would scare everybody to death. Now, as a result of that, there's another big problem. Same line of thought, same problem. If we go into a World War III scenario, which we're literally funding right now. I mean, that's what it is. Israel, that's what it is. Ukraine, that's what it is. If we go into a World War III scenario, countries will have to choose a side. Not everybody gets to be Switzerland. Countries will have to choose a side. The U.S. was the number one country for its United States tender, our U.S. dollars, to be used internationally for trade. Countries like China and Russia and Australia would buy our dollars to pay off their debts, to buy other products from other countries. They would use our dollar. The more our dollar was being used, the better our economy would become because the strength of the dollar would increase. If we have World War III, a large chunk of those existing other countries that use our US dollar as their number one trading platform will immediately cease from doing that. When that happens, it means that our US dollar will be either sold to their inhabitants at a reduced level, which will be worse than printing money because it floods the entire marketplace with lots of people who have our US dollar, or it will be traded at a lesser amount quickly to a World War III country on the other side just to go ahead and get rid of it. These two things, in a long run and even a short run, well, mid-short run sense, will decrease the value of the US dollar because we won't have enough countries buying and using our dollar for the purposes of trade. Why do other countries use the US dollar for trade? It's because their currencies are not trusted as much as the US dollar. The US dollar is used in more places than any other currency on planet Earth. Cool, awesome, because we're super amazing, special people. The US is the big bad. It is military superior country at all levels of measurement, right? Maybe some Navy stuff here and there, but whatever. We got these 6th-gen fighters coming out. Woohoo, Here's the thing. As a result of that, when our US dollar is no longer used by all of those other countries because of a World War III scenario, because they're going to sanction the US dollar, sanctions against it. They're going to sanction this country and that country, and we're going to be part of it. World War III happens. All the people on this side sanction those people. All the people on this side sanction those people. You know how it works. You saw it with Russia. When that happens, the problem, and it is absolutely horrific, is that our US dollar enters the market and floods the market unlike any other country because we have the most US dollars out there being traded, which means we have the most that can be flooded into the general economy, which means that if you flood that US tender to all of those other citizens and you quickly put it into the market, it will immediately collapse the US dollar because it's faster than printing money. It is. It's faster than printing money. And it's on an international scale, which is not good. Now, with that all said, some people have argued that this will never happen because the U.S. owes these different countries lots of money. Does the U.S. owe China around $1 trillion? Yes. Do you think China is going to care about $1 trillion when it comes time for China to have its day? Think about it. You let me know your thoughts. These are the scariest things that bother me when I sleep about what I'm going to be doing in my future and what my retirement benefits will look like. Batty Beth, thank you for the $4 donation. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Diane Fernandez with another $2 donation and a $5 donation. Really super appreciate that. Kevin with another $2 donation, which is awesome. Let's see. How much more will I make SSDI inflation this year? Well, we don't know. We don't know what the COLA cost of living adjustment is going to be. Like the numbers are still out. The 3 months that matter for cost of living adjustment, we don't know yet because they haven't happened yet. Once they happen, people are saying it'll be between 2.5 and 3.5. I think maybe. It might go a little bit above 3.5, but I think that's a general good spot, where they'll claim their inflation. But remember, that's the math they use nowadays. Back in the day when they did the cost of living adjustment, the math would have put a much higher number on the board. So with that said, I want you guys to think about things, and I want you to tell me going forward what you think retirement benefits will be like in 25 years. And that's where I think we need to be focusing. Because if we can figure out in 25 years where this program is going to actually be, then we know where it's going to be in 10 years because we know what it's going to, the path it's going to take to get to 25. And if we know where it's going to be in 25 years, we've got a pretty good idea of where it's going to be in 35 years because it's going to have to dig itself out. So my question to you is, where do you think it'll be in 25 years? Because that's going to tell us the most important stuff where it's going to be for most people who are alive today. I will catch you in the next video. Now remember, the next video I go live, I answer questions. You know the rules. When you call in the 407-279-1754 number, do not use your real name. Use a fake name. Go ahead, ask your legal question right up front. No story mode. You get about 5 to 7 minutes. I always go live on Tuesday and Thursday for the most part. Sometimes I fall asleep at my desk. With that said, please remember to go to Google and type in Disability Resolution Florida or Disability Resolution Law Firm. Throw some stars up on the board in the reviews section. Please remember to like. Please remember to subscribe. And remember, don't call the law firm from 9 to 5 with general questions about how the field of law works for disability. Use Tuesday and Thursday for that because the staff they're all over me about this. If you're looking for representation, totally cool. Call during the 9 to 5. But, if you just have a quick question, there's no such thing as a quick question. They always evolve into 4 more questions thereafter, and we're at 15, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to answer them. So just keep in mind, Tuesday and Thursday for that. I will catch you guys at the next video. Give me about 15 minutes. This chair, I think, just broke. I think the chair just broke. Yeah, I think it did. This thing has been dying on me. I have the other chair right over there. I just didn't bring it over because it's hard to sneak it through this thing right here. Anyways, guys, I will catch you a little bit later. Oh, yeah, it's broken. I can feel it. The whole seat does a little wobble thing now. I will catch you guys in about, I would say 15 minutes. I will see you at the next video. Get ready with your legal questions, and we will go through them. Thank you so much. I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.